How does one really create pattern? In this video, we'll learn how using lines to create shapes, we'll be able to create unique forms of pattern. Well, let's recap with the elements of art, starting with line. Line is defined as a continuous mark made on a surface by a moving point. So if we have different kinds of lines, what kind of patterns can we make? So these are the types of lines that we have. We have curvy, wavy, bumpy, zigzag, squared, and I don't even know what the heck this is. And so we use these lines to create a form of pattern. So a pattern is a design in which lines and shapes and colors are repeated. Line has a direct relation with the creation of many patterns. So for example, when lines are connected at certain points, they create the shapes. When shapes are created, they are repeated over and over to create. So let's start using these lines and shapes and start creating some patterns. Measurements are very important when creating the checkered pattern. In this example, these squares are 1 inch and 1/4, and they are divided 5 times by 1/4 of an inch. So make sure that your measurements are very, very precise. Once you complete making your 1/4 of an inch measurements on the grid method, use the ruler to connect the dots. It is important to use the ruler to make sure that the lines are straight. Once the lines have been connected from one end to the other end, you can see that squares are created, somewhat of a pattern. Now to complete the pattern, you can start applying value to complete the checkered pattern. As you can see here, I am applying a strong pressure on the pencil in order to create a solid black square. As you can see that I am skipping every other square when I am applying value. This way, it doesn't look like a solid black square, but as a pattern of black and white squares. When creating the pattern of diagonal lines, in this example, I am using a ruler. Now the benefits of using a ruler is because it maintains your line straight, but at the same time it will allow you to work with more than one square. The disadvantage of it though is you might get lost and you might break the pattern by using the ruler. So it's entirely up to you if you want to use the ruler or not use the ruler. Just make sure that you are careful on where you place your patterns and that your lines are completely straight. When creating the circle patterns, it is very important that you use different sizes from big to small to medium, and make them go outside of the square. Like half of the circle might be going outside of the square. The reason for having these circles be in different sizes because it makes it look interesting, and having so much of the same thing looks, kind of dull and boring. Now, when it comes to the circle patterns, there are certain things that you should not do. Now, for one is obviously don't try to rush into these and just make a bunch of circles to the same size. And what happens later is that you'll lose the circular shape and you just end up having the bean shape. And again, having so much of the same size, such as big circles, don't do that. Now, when it comes to your actual completed, circle pattern, if you want them to pop out a little bit more, you can actually add a dark value in the space in between the circles. That way, the dark and the white of the circles will make a contrast and it will make it stand out even more. Now, by using simple lines and shapes, you'll be able to create an optical illusion. In this example, we use a simple square and a line that connects the square to the other corner to create the illusion as if you're being submerged inside of the square. Now, what we want you to do is to try to experiment. Experiment with the different things that we've practiced. How does the diagonal pattern lines look with circles? Or how does the diagonal lines look with the square with a diagonal line? Or how does the diagonal lines look with a black checkered pattern? Try to find ways to experiment. What works for you. There isn't really a right or wrong way. It's just a matter of trying. So you don't have to do the exact same things that we do. Just, try to experiment. Maybe the diagonal lines with a checkered pattern looks good, or maybe it doesn't. Add value inside of the optical art one. So experiment. So it's highly, highly encouraged that you experiment, and so that way your artwork can look different from everyone else's. I hope this video was very helpful. I hope you saw how using simple lines and shapes, and when they're combined together, you can create unique and different patterns. Now, in the meantime, we are living in the middle of a pandemic, and so I want each and every one of you guys to please be safe. Please continue to practice social distancing. Please continue to wear your mask. Please wash your hands. We want to make sure that you are safe and that those people around you are safe as well. But until then, I hope to see you soon, and take care of yourselves.